Hello guys, in this video we are going to solve the Leetcode problem 229 majority element 2 and yeah, let's start. So given an integer array of size n, find all elements that appear more than n by 3 times. So what do you mean by n by 3 times? So here the problem states that if there is an n is nothing but the size of an array. So n by 3 times, for example, which is n by 3 times in that context, is the length of n nums here is 3, which is divided by 3, which gives us 1. So the element which appear greater than 1 in this context will be output as 3. So here the element in element 3 appears 2 times. So that is the reason it is greater than 1, the frequently repeated element. So that is the reason output is 3. So I have two more examples to understand the context in more understand the context in a more understanding way. So let's take this is an and I need in how many times the frequent repeated elements can appear in an answer. At most it can appear only 2 times. Because if you see here, the length of an array is 8, probably 8. Oh, yes, it's 8. So if you divide it, you will get something like 2.5. And if you floor this, you will get 2. So the element which appears more than 2 times, which is 1, and here from 3, you will get output as 1 comma 3. Okay. So for example, let's take this element. In this context, the length of an array is 9 and divided by 3, which gives us 3. So the element which appears more than 3 times, that is an output. But here, it does not appear any element that appears more than thrice. So that is the reason we have to return an empty list. So I think you understand it, all right. So the element must appear. The in a list the elements can have at most two or one or nothing. Empty list. Okay. So let's start writing the code. What is the brute force approach that we can solve this problem? Is to you take the first element and you take the first element and just loop into count the number of times it repeated and put it in somewhere in put it somewhere in a list, and you will get element 2. Check how many times check it's already exist in an element or not, already exist in an element or not. If it is not exist, it is already repeating 2 times. We just put element into a list, then it becomes 1 comma 2, and we take third element. It is repeating 3 times and we insert 3, and now you need to add one more condition for this, that is, it repeating the element more than 3 times, uh, more than 2 times in this context. No, it is not. It is repeating only for the 1 and 3. You need to add one more conditions in the if conditions, that it is repeating more than n by 3 times or not. If it is more than n by 3 times, you just pass it like 1 comma 3. So that is a very brute force approach, and we are going to solve this in a single O of n. We are going to solve this problem in single O of n, which is using single loop. Okay, so yeah, let's start. So I believe the understanding. I believe the here the point is to let's take only these as an array. You start iterating an array from here, and then take that is something as a candidate one. So initially the count is 0. Initially the count is 0 and the candidate becomes initially the count is 0 Okay, let's start something. Initially, the initially the candidate is nothing. Initially, we take the first element as the candidate, and here we take the candidate as one, and we just increase the count to one. And again, we get here the same candidate and increase the count to two. And again, we got the same element and increase the count to three. After that, we got the different candidate. Okay, then I add one more candidate as two and increase the count to two. Now you take this as a count to two and count count to two. And this is a different candidate, so we are starting from the one here. The count one will be three. Now again, the two repeats one more time, then increase the count to two. Now we have the other candidate, and we already discussed at most it can have two elements. Okay, so when the element is three, what do is we just decrement the count whenever third element appears. Okay, from here the third element is three, so we just decrement the count to two and count to one. So here count two becomes one and the count one becomes two. Okay, now again it appears count 3. Then we make this as 0. Then we make this as 1. Okay, now we got one more element left out. So what do we do is the count to 2 is becomes 0. When the count to 2 becomes 0, you change the element which comes after. So here the candidate becomes 3. This is candidate 2 and this is candidate 1. Okay, now increase the count for this as well. Now we already came at the end of the loop. Now what are the candidates that we have? We have the candidates 1 comma 2, 1 comma 3, sorry. So here we need to understand we need to verify the one more step, because does it repeating more than two times, and we need to verify it. How do you verify it? We just run one more, we just iterate into the for loop one more time and count the number of times the candidate 1, candidate 2 is repeating. If it is greater than 3, candidate is repeating. And if the count is greater than 2, we just add into the list. That's it, guys. This is the approach that I have in my mind. So let's start writing the code. So initially we take candidate 1 as 0 and count 1 as 0. And we take one more element, candidate 2 as 0 and count 2 as 0. Now you start loop into it. Just take this as an element. Okay, then if the count to one is zero, assign that element, assign the candidate one to that element, and increase the count to one. Okay, else if the count to double equal to zero, then we just Now here we are decreasing the guys. This is where third element comes. This is where when third element comes, we just decrease it. Okay. Now after this, what do we do is we just simply make we already have the candidates, which is candidate one, candidate two, and initialize and just loop into them. Count the number of times the candidate is repeating actually. If E is double equal to candidate one, we just increase the count as well. So make the count one as zero, and the count two as zero. Here we already have the candidate one, then just increase it. Else count two plus plus. Now we just insert this if the element is greater than three times or two times according to the n by three, we just insert into the list. So we've not yet created a list here. So let's just creating a list. Count one. Here the n by three is nothing but the so we just simply return this list. Here we are getting one more element is missing somewhere. One, two, three. So somehow this is how it can be done, and then yeah, thank you so much.